Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, the talking about joy, because at the beginning of the class, you said really it's about us opening to the joy, because the meditation, I got the sense, almost doesn't happen or work if there's not joy, like in the meditative space. Could you just talk a little more about that?
Well, yeah, the meditation works because the whole purpose of the meditation is to build a system that gets you closer and closer to doing that. And eventually, through building that kind of a system in the meditation class, you eventually reach a place where that joy, that gratitude, that open heart is just organic to your nature. So, the meditation works if, my God, if you're just a block of thick mud and you sit and do this meditation, the mud is going to melt, and it eventually will help you break through all of the obstructions that keep you from doing, it's not about perfection. It's about developing an inner life that gets you every day closer to perfection. Will we ever reach perfection? I don't think so. God is perfect. The rest of us really have our imperfections and we have our difficulties. And as I've said many times, those imperfections and difficulties, they're just another ingredient in the soup. And if you learn how to use them to grow, you understand they are essential to one's inner life. You don't have to go looking for them. You don't have to go finding them, they'll just be there. And then it's how we use them. Do we grow because of them or do they defeat us? So the meditation is not about perfection. It's about building an inner life that gets us closer and closer to living our lives like a happy person full of love all the time, full of joy all the time. And nobody's going to do that, every single moment of their lives. There's always going to be something wrong. But as you develop that kind of inner life, you know what to do with the things that obstruct it and how to transform them. So that's what the meditation is about. The meditation is not about being a perfect being. It's about developing an inner life that incrementally gets us closer and closer. And the closer we get to it, the more joy there is, the more love there is, the more, it's never in a perfect state of consciousness, but there's more and more and more of that gratitude of all the higher emotions, which truly allow us to attain a state of enlightenment on the earth. I hope that's clear because you can't walk around thinking that perfection, if you're not perfect, you're not doing the meditation properly. Because then it's, it's just a self-defeat. I'm here because I want to grow. All of you should be here because you want to grow, not because because you're perfect and you're going to do everything, but you want to grow. You want to evolve and grow and develop your lives and, and get, what the great treasures are in life. What are they? Happiness, love, joy, being able to transform tension into that. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Wendy. I think the most difficult state to be in is this whole thing inside people that somehow believes they have to be perfect doing whatever they do. It's just a way of endlessly defeating oneself, getting upset at oneself because we're not perfect, instead of using what's available to develop an inner life and to grow because of what's available. Does anyone else have a question I would like to ask?
I have a question, Stuart. You talked about a couple of days before that Rudi used to attend parties. I just assumed that he wasn't attending parties, those kind of parties that people go to and waste a lot of energy for nothing.
Well, look, I used to go to those parties with Rudi.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of time with him, and he would invite me to go. We never spent more than 20 minutes at those parties. And I once asked him, I said, Rudi, why even come here if you're going to spend 20 minutes? He said, well, I come to, say hello to friends of mine and to be gracious, and I'm invited. But after 20, 25 minutes, he said, it all gets boring. He said, it just becomes stale. And I never spent more than 20 minutes with him at a party. I've been at dinner parties with him and his people who are friends and students that went on more. But when you go to, those cocktail parties and that kind of thing, I stopped going to them because, I had all these friends that invited me all the time, and especially when I was in the art world, and I got invited constantly to parties. And I used to go and everybody got drunk, and I was like, what am I doing here? So I stopped going. That's what, Rudi used to do that. But I'm telling you, I never went with him. We never stayed more than 20 minutes at a party, ever. We go from there to Chinatown, have some food, and maybe go see a movie, and walk around the village. And mostly I was there to listen to him talk, because endlessly what came out of his mouth was wisdom. Endlessly. And that's why I used to be there, to listen, not even to talk to him, just to listen to the things that he used to talk about that were so profound and so transformative that they made me change inside myself. And I felt very blessed that I could spend that time with a great master, even at parties, in the movies, in Chinatown, and wherever we went, places we used to go, Once went to a Chinese restaurant. I'll never forget. He liked the food. We kept going back there every day until we had every dish on the menu. I'll never forget it. I just laughed. Made friends with the waiters, the cooks. You knew everybody there, It was fun. Why can't life be fun? It doesn't have to be so intense and serious, and it has to be joy in life, and doing things that are full of joy, turning ordinary things in life into something joyous and wonderful. I don't think anyone in this group lives in a monastery or an ashram, or maybe somebody, I don't know. We're not orthodox religious people that have to follow, it's fun, it's joy. You build a system that enables you to enjoy all the elements of life. Take the mundane and turn it into something, sacred. Now that takes consciousness. And Rudi was a master at that. He just was simply a master of turning a place like New York City into a temple. I don't know if you've ever been in New York City, but it's a pretty intense place. But he turned it into a temple. I would walk around, it was everything got magical. And I said to myself, Stuart, you have to learn how to do this. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to this COVID pandemic to just simmer down a bit. It's really very intense now. And because one of the things I want, and I really have to do in the near future, is to have in-person classes. I can't do it while this pandemic is raging. I don't want people to get sick, to come here, travel on airplanes, and, but as soon as it quiets down, I think in-person classes are very important. And I'm hoping that people will find time to come, spend 3-4 days here, get training, come to those kind of classes where I do hands-on healing work and take it to a completely different depth. So I'm, hoping that this thing, this crazy world we live in begins to simmer down a little bit. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but it's, at a point everything changes, So if it begins to change and things simmer down and traveling becomes more possible, I will tell you all, and I will open that up to having the kinds of classes I used to have, which were very wonderful, and people really benefited from being here. It was really something very precious. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. In your book, Navigating the River of Time, you mentioned blue light representing healing energy. I was
Yes.
wondering what yellow light might
Well,
represent.
yellow and white light represent the purity of soul. It represents you really having worked through a lot of the obstructions in yourself, and you're capable of, living in that kind of light, that kind of aura. It's the opposite of gray and dark and, light, but that's what it is. It's just the soul, really opening to higher energy. And a lot of the impurities and a lot of the tensions have dissolved, and there's that kind of light. It becomes yellow and white. It's a higher radiance of energy. And blue light is a healing. I've used it many times in working with healing, is that blue light. It's a very profoundly healing color. Orange is the color of fire. Remember once somebody asked Rudi, why do you wear orange all the time? Well, it's the color of surrender. I said, well, what are you surrendering? He said, my tension. He's a brilliant dancer. My tension. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, well, there'll be a class tomorrow evening. And again, God bless you all. Thank you for being involved in this. And I tell you, I see the bright faces. Sometimes I turn the news on. It's so dark and so terrible what they talk about that's going on in this world. When I come here and see all these bright and beautiful faces of people, eyes are twinkling and sparkling, who really are reaching for it just really makes my day. I tell you, it's just wonderful to be part of this and to be able to share what I've learned in my life with all of you and to learn from you. Without your presence here, these classes wouldn't exist. So God bless you all and thank you. And we'll have meditation tomorrow evening. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Right.
Thank you,
Please
Stuart.
do it. God bless you.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you, Stuart. Thanks, Stuart.
That's a great blessing, seeing you in my class in here. Wonderful.
Love you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Stuart. Good night.